This is the most worthwhile disaster movie to watch in the past 2 decades, although it's all Hollywood blockbusters. But this movie is unique, without any personal heroism mixed in, using only the simplest emotions to capture the courage, responsibility of men, especially at the end, breaking the consistent routine and pattern of disaster films. This is a small town that has been fishing for generations for a living. Men shuttle through the waves every day, supporting a family in the struggle with nature. Jack is an experienced and skilled captain, but he's been unlucky lately. I have been going to sea several times without much success, so much so that wages have reached a historic low, even threatened by the boss. Keep going like this. His position as captain will not be guaranteed. Under immense pressure, he only rested for 2 days on his return voyage. We gathered 5 crew members to prepare for another departure. They do it for their families, for the sake of life, struggling hard, despite experiencing repeated blows, but they are still full of confidence, set sail full of hope. They love the sea. Every time I gamble my life, I ride the wind and waves, just to make more money, enable family members to live a prosperous life. This may be the fate of fools. After 2 days of sailing, they finally arrived at the target sea area, and also discovered a large number of target fish schools. I thought I would come back screaming this time. Unexpectedly, after nearly 20 hours of Charles winding up, but only a few tuna were caught, and it's getting smaller and smaller. Not even a warehouse is full, although somewhat disappointed. But I always worry. But they never received the favor of the goddess of luck. A few consecutive days of hard work, still no good harvest. The fighting spirit of the crew is constantly being worn away, even questioning the captain in their hearts and starting to complain. And I have the idea of going back to my hometown. Actually, I understand Jack's situation very well. One of the best in terms of qualifications, experience, and skills. Unfortunately, the times are not favorable, always receiving very little. Looking at the low morale brothers, make his heart last forever. The accumulated emotions are also fully exposed. He not only needs to prove himself, and for the sake of the brothers who followed him. Hence, he couldn't get into the tiger's den while holding it. How can we achieve the determination of a tiger? Decided to go further to Fleming's perspective. That belongs to the Bermuda area. The crew are well aware that there are abundant fish resources there, but the weather is extremely dangerous. Obviously, there was some hesitation, but seeing Jack's unwavering faith and determination. Besides, it's also for the sake of achieving great success. I had to force myself to agree. Meanwhile, a hurricane cloud cluster is forming in the Bermuda region. A passing plane detected wind speed exceeding 140 miles. It has reached a level 5 storm. Soon, Jack received a call from another fishing boat on his end. Captain Ruth is a female hero, belongs to the same boss as Jack, but his recent luck has always been better than Jack's. He was shocked to learn that Jack was on his way to Fleming for 10 hours. He doesn't understand Jack. I have seen the forecast clearly. Why go on an adventure? Then you can go outside without saying it yet. Although it was just a light answer, but it expresses a period of low ebb. A man's heart is unwilling. If you want to turn around, you can only be fearless of risks. Put all your eggs in one basket. Sure enough, the fish resources at Flemish Rock Point have brought them a bountiful harvest. For them, not just a proof. It is a rebirth after experiencing multiple failures. When everyone is still immersed in joy, unexpectedly, the ice maker on the ship malfunctioned, causing them to be unable to continue capturing. Fortunately, they have already refrigerated a full 60,000 pounds of dried fish. These are also enough to make them a profit. The captain immediately ordered the line to be retracted and returned. Meanwhile, Jack received a hurricane warning from the Marine Weather Service. Even worse, that's their only way home. They now face 2 choices. Either find a place to avoid the storm, but the 60,000 pounds of frozen fish cargo on board will inevitably melt and rot, or we can just force ourselves through the storm, send the fish back to the port, make a killing. Of course, this will inevitably lead to the possibility of overturning, but in the end, everyone still wants money. Decide to storm hard, but they don't know. The Oceanic and Meteorological Administration has discovered 2 other cold air streams. The wind is constantly strengthening, and it will merge with the hurricane in 3. At that time, a century-long storm will emerge. Meanwhile, Ruth, who is rushing back to the port, received the latest storm facts from the Meteorological Bureau. He realized that Jack's current situation was extremely dangerous, and radioed him to quickly turn around and leave. But Jack's side has already been hit by the storm. He has a confident face. He is fearless. Utilize one's superb skills, riding the wind and breaking the waves. Ride through one towering wave after another. But he didn't notice the latest facts from the Meteorological Bureau, and the antenna on his ship was also bent by the waves. Fortunately, after countless calls from Ruth, he received a weak signal. But due to the damaged antenna on the ship, the call signal is extremely unstable. Ruth only heard Jack's exposed heading coordinates. He checked the chart. Surprise discovery, Jack and others are heading towards the Devil. But at this moment, no matter how he calls, can't get any response from Jack, because Jack's antenna was completely blown away by the storm. So he quickly helped Jack call for help. Rescue aircraft receiving call. Just searched and rescued a sailboat in distress. They realized that Jack's position could be considered the entrance to hell, but their responsibility lies in, even if it's hell, and I will never leave any life behind. Hence, they sent the few people who had just been rescued to the responding maritime police ship, but due to the sudden incident, the rescue location is far away. The fuel on the rescue plane is not sufficient. But I didn't expect that. They called the gasoline pump. Afterwards, due to the strong wind force, after multiple attempts, it was also unable to align with the oil pipe, and even, almost involved in the gasoline pump. Under helplessness, they can only give up refueling, choose to make a forced landing on the sea surface. This is the true hero, because they have shaped one retrograde and beautiful figure after another, has also created one miracle after another, but heroes may not necessarily come back alive. Meanwhile, the small town is also undergoing a once-in-a-century test. The families of the crew gathered together, anxiously waiting for the good news to arrive. However, what came was the bad news brought by the boss. Yes, rescue his version, your defender, looking at a pair of desperate eyes. They can't believe that's the truth. Don't. Very recognizable, that's right, this is reality. He looks like an ordinary person among us working hard. Meanwhile, Jack is still piloting a fishing boat to fight against the storm. He realized that without antennas and radios, he would go back to the 19th century. But despite this, the crew still believe in his abilities, but the merciless storm doesn't seem to give them any chance to breathe. The anchor of the ship was blown away by strong winds, heavy impact on the driver's cab, and accompanied by the storm swaying from side to side. At this point, Jack made a quick decision. Let your companions take the helm. He's going to climb the anchor himself, cut off the iron chain that hangs the anchor of the ship. But the wind is too strong. The ship's body sways continuously, causing the anchor rod to be unable to be fixed at all. Fortunately, with the cooperation of everyone's efforts, Jack successfully cut the iron chain. As the anchor falls into the sea, everyone also cheered. Next, the captain asked the crew to use a baffle to block the glass in the cockpit, but the continuous towering waves made it impossible for them to stand firm. Even dozens of pounds of baffle were blown away directly. At this moment, the captain immediately turned the ship around, blocked the wind direction. The crew barely managed to stabilize the baffle, but I haven't had time to buckle onto a huge wave and hit again. Directly flushed 2 crew members into the sea. Watching the drowning crew about to be washed away by the waves, the other crew member immediately jumped off the deck, pick up the fishing hook, trying to get teammates to grab it. Fortunately, thanks to the efforts of my teammates, 2 crew members who fell into the water were all rescued. At this point, Jack realized that they might not be able to make it through. He seems to blame himself a bit. I planned to turn around again, but the crew did not shirk or hold each other accountable. No complaints or remorse. Instead, they encourage each other. Fly forward. My money. What is that? It's that circle. Pickles. Death for wealth. Birds die for food. Keep Dongshan here. Not afraid of burning without firewood. These 2 sentences are used here. I think it's perfect. Next, he needs to change direction, and have a crew member cooperate in pushing the joystick. They only have one chance. In the face of death, they are decisive and calm. Be courageous. With Jack's command, the crew pushed on the joystick, full throttle. Fortunately, they successfully turned the bow of the ship. Everyone cheered and cheered. Just flip over the huge waves in front of you. The dawn of victory belongs to them. Even this voyage will be recorded in history. However, the storm did not give them a chance to rise again. A towering wave stopped them. Their eyes are firm. Put all your eggs in one basket. The burden on oneself is always the source of motivation that supports them. But this is a tragic ending. Perhaps it was fate's will to manipulate people. The more you want to get. But unfortunately, I don't get every hope filled with hope, but always encountering disappointment. The more afraid I am of losing. But it happens to be used as a bet. Even if this bet is the price of one's life. Perhaps this is reality. May have suffered too much hardship and endured humiliation, always looking forward to starting again. Unexpectedly, it came to an end early on. The crew were all upside down in the ship, until the last moment of life. Their first thought is still their beloved family. Jack tried his best to send out a crew member, and he chose to stay in the sea forever. This is his destiny. But although the crew escaped from the cabin, it's nothing more than escaping from one hell to another. What sets this movie apart from other Hollywood disaster films? He is more realistic and simple, without the pride of man conquering nature. There is no heroism either. In front of nature, human beings are just a drop in the ocean.